Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'll be going over how I built this keyhole slot jig for a palm router. Now I'll be going over start to finish how I did this, and this is actually going to be a universal jig. So it'll be have an adjustable fence, and you can take that fence off if you're doing big flat pieces. So I hope you enjoy. Now I've designed this jig for my Bosch palm router. Now if you're running a Makito or say a DeWalt, it's gonna vary. So I'm not gonna go into too much detail on this jig, but you can screenshot it here and alter it to fit your base of your palm router. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab some plywood. The good thing about this jig is it's pretty small, so you can use scrap pieces of ply in your shop. The first thing I'm going to do here is rip all the material down to their correct widths. And the reason I made the footprint of this jig fairly large is so you have a lot of clamping room so you can clamp it down to your piece when you're using the jig itself. Now, like I mentioned earlier, you can alter this to make these sides smaller, and obviously change it to whatever router you have. Once we have that done, we can go over to the miter saw and cut these all to length. What I'm doing here is mocking up all the pieces just to make sure everything fits. Now you want a pretty snug fit with this router. I would say no more than a 1/16. And as you can see here on these Bosch routers, they have a knob on the back, which is for an auxiliary fence. So I'll go ahead and mark that. Now you can kind of see how this fence is going to work. It's going to go on that larger piece. Once I had the marks for the knob, I brought it over to my table saw and used my crosscut sled to knock all this material out. Now, one thing I do want to mention is the size of your keyhole slot is obviously determined by how much travel you have in your jig. So I went with 3/4, so I'll have a 3/4 inch keyhole slot. And the way to do that is you take your base and add whatever you want. So I obviously wanted a 3/4 slot, so I added 3/4 to the base when I did this measurement. For example, if you wanted a 1-inch slot, you would take your base and add 1 inch to that measurement. And this measurement I'm talking about will be the inside to inside of the jig itself. Now, during that long explanation, you saw me laying out this fence. Now, what I did is I just took the center of the side pieces and brought that down on to, I guess you could say, the fence base. What I did here is I used 1/4 inch carriage bolts, drilled that out, and then slotted it with my squirrel saw. You could also use a jigsaw here. Now, to attach this all together, I'm going to be using glue, but I'm also going to be using pocket hole screws. Now, I'll only be using these pocket holes on the side pieces, and as you can see here, I've done 2 per side. I might have got a little carried away with that. You probably only need 1, but more never hurts. So now I'll just put some glue on that, spread it around, drill in my pocket hole screws, and this jig is basically done. Now, I really like this fence design because if you're, say, making picture frames and you want those key slots to be exactly the same on either side of the frame, this fence will definitely help you. Once you get it dialed in, then you're set. But I've also made it so you can remove that. So if you have a larger piece and you don't need a fence, you can clamp this down to the piece. So if you are thinking about making one of these jigs, I highly suggest adding this fence feature for what it's worth. Now to use this, you just turn the router on and slowly plunge into the workpiece, doing your full rotation, bringing it back and turning it off. Now I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found some great information in it. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those below and I'll get back to you. And if you're not yet, please subscribe. And before you go to the next video, hit that thumbs up. It lets me know you enjoy this video. Till next time, thanks for watching.